Strap yourselves in and hold on.
He stands for truth. He stands for justice. He stands for what's right. This is the Alex Jones Show. Call Alex now, toll free, at 877-590-5525. Now live from Austin, Texas, here's Alex Jones.
I went a bit wild last hour, and quite frankly, it's because this stuff's really getting to me. You know, I get email, people say, are you for real? Are you really this upset? Yes, I'm upset about offshore banks totally imploding the entire world economy and setting up Northcom openly to wage war against the American people for gun confiscation. You bet. I'm absolutely freaked out about it. I mean, I have mainstream news here out of the News Tribune out of Missouri, one of the big papers there in St. Louis. Guard units trained for militia attacks. And it says the National Guard is preparing, that's how the PSYOP works, for American gun owners to attack them at checkpoints. Let me tell you how this is going to work. So I've been to these urban warfare drills. The military trains to take on the American people, and they train to break up families at checkpoints. You drive up to a checkpoint, they run your ID, just like outside Fallujah or outside Baghdad, and they grab the daddy and put him in this truck, the mommy in that truck, and the kids in this truck. And then when you fight back, it's going to be called a terrorist attack. Now, I shot Police State 2000, Police State 2, the takeover, and Police State 3, total enslavement. I mean, I went to these urban warfare drills. Now it's mainstream news, and it's up on Infowars.com. And Kurt and Emma wrote a detailed article, Missouri National Guard trained to kill militia insurgents in exercise. Then I have them training new Obama youth to, quote, take on disgruntled vets in seek and destroy operations. New York Times. You cannot make this up. It doesn't matter if it's Bush or Obama. It's the same policy. These guys are just puppet front men for the military-industrial complex, and it works for the offshore banks who are a bunch of Madoffs. Now, I know we got Michael and Ray and Peggy and Ronnie and Craig and Chris and Jeff, and I'm going to get to all of you. In fact, Jeff's up first after Michael. But throughout the hour, and he can talk to any issue, his BBC TV presenter with his own show, The Oracle. He has another one on Press TV. He is the inventor of a major stock market system, including a system that's even been adopted by the Pentagon to try to monitor the stock market. And he is a author and also an economist, researcher. He's Max Keiser, and he joins us from Paris. For the rest of the hour, Max Keiser, things are really getting crazy. Can you just boil down for folks what this global system is and what the banks are going to be doing? I mean, are they not going to be happy until everything's destroyed and they own everything?
Alex Jones, how you doing?
Good, Max Keiser. Thanks for spending time with us on Sunday night there in Paris.
Yeah, it's fantastic to be on the show with you.
How is your beloved betrothed?
Oh, it's fantastic. Stacey's been doing a lot of research on looking at Twitter, and she's discovering that, Twitter got contacted by the State Department. And if you notice, during that so-called Green Revolution during Iran, a lot of the major news outlets were quoting what was happening on Twitter, and yet the ability to manufacture results on Twitter is not that difficult.
And it turns out the CIA was basically running it and feeding the mass Twitters. Explain, folks, what the little wicked Tweety was doing.
Well, Stacey has been looking at this pretty closely right now. We're trying to put together some of our own back-end research and data collection because it is similar to the technology that I was involved with. And you mentioned it at the top of the show. The Pentagon uses some of the ideas and some of the technology that I invented in the mid-1990s for what they call the policy analysis market, which was basically a terror futures market where people could buy and sell contracts based on terror attacks. And they launched it, and of course there was a huge commotion because it was a way to monetize. The average guy, the average Joe out there could make money betting on what the next terror attack would be. And of course this sets up the situation where people would go out and commit terror attacks so they could profit on the Pentagon's terror futures market.
So the Pentagon could profit on its terrorism.
Right. They wanted to share their profits with the average person out there. That was what the Pentagon was pushing. And, of course, there was a backlash against it. And I wrote an editorial in the Financial Times, and I pointed out that there already is a terror futures market. It's called the New York Stock Exchange. People are already benefiting by pushing terror all over the world. You know, the primary business, the primary export of America is this military hardware, which is out there causing all kinds of wars of convenience and wars of profit, and you can already benefit. As a matter of fact, I started something else out there called the Gulag Wealth Index.
Ah.
The Gulag Wealth Index it's at gulagwealthindex.com. And this was an idea that if you really wanted to cash in on America's terror policies, you could build a portfolio of stocks like Corrections Corps of America, which is America's biggest private prison operator. You could buy stock in Keiser, which, of course, is a huge beneficiary of what you talk about on your show all the time by giving local cops summary execution powers, basically, to just stop people on the street and taser them. So all these stocks bundled together into one index, and as a way to give people at least a monetary hedge against the tyranny going on in the U.S. So if you can't stop it politically, at least you could hedge your portfolio.
And, of course, MaxKeiser.com. Max, you've been predicting for years what's happening now in the economy, this designed implosion. But then the media is saying, oh, no, green shoots, everything's wonderful. As everybody I talk to on the street think that we're descending into financial Hades. What's really going on? Are the international bankers going to save us?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, the number one number that people should be looking at is that unemployment number. The unemployment number is continuing to move up pretty sharply. And remember, when Obama came into office, his economic program was he was going to restore 3 million jobs quickly. And the point of giving Wall Street all that money, which Hank Paulson negotiated, basically he extorted that money at the end of last year, and he threatened to kill the stock exchange unless the government and the citizens gave him.
He threatened martial law. He said, if you don't do it, we'll just march troops in here. That's on record. That's freedom, though.
So that was his pitch to Congress and the American people, was extortion. And what we heard from Obama was that this was going to result in jobs and job growth. And unfortunately, we've had the reverse. We've had loss of jobs.
Oh, the bankers are hoarding the money, and they love everything imploding. Oh, bankers don't love getting the farm that way. They're friendly, Max.
Yeah, pretty much. The bankers are hoarding the money, and the unemployment rate is out. The official rate is 9.5%. But the unofficial rate, which is the rate which you would calculate by including the number of people who have stopped working for work, the government doesn't include those people in their numbers. Plus, if you also, the government uses what's called the birth-death model in calculating unemployment, where it's a way to statistically underrepresent the model. It's just more statistical noise that the government publishes. But if you were to give a more accurate picture of what the true unemployment number is in America today, it's 16%.
Now, a lot of economists are saying it's really 20.
But yeah, well,
I mean, Bloomberg said 15.6.
Again, there's different ways to calculate it, but clearly it's 50 to 60% higher than what the official number is. The trend is moving up quite sharply, and there's no reason to think that trend is not going to keep moving toward that 25% level, which of course was the number we saw at the Great Depression. So for people out there, and I know you talk on your show, you say, why aren't people motivated to make a change or make a move? I think the people who are losing their jobs and they immediately find themselves in a tent city somewhere and cut off from the rest of the society, they're like Indians being pushed onto a reservation by the government, and they're cut off from society. We don't hear from those people because they've been cut off. They're already, you talk about the idea of these FEMA camps and these other types of facilities. In a way, you already have that going on now. You just don't hear from these people because they're living in tent cities and they're just not covered. They don't have internet access as such, and so they're just being pushed.
No, you're right. It's just like we don't hear from somebody who's homeless on the streets of India or the streets of Beijing. They're off the grid now, living in squalor. Stay there, Max Keiser. Call's coming up. I want to talk about this whole police state. because you have really discussed how we're converting the whole economy into that. Why is the Army training to pull triggers on the American people?